Okay, so before we get into the social media fan questions, I gotta know this very dire question of how did you become a professional auntie? I mean, I can kind of guess with your background and the story that you've been, your life story. But yeah, what's the history of that?
So this was a time when, and I always, when I was younger, my grandma always had kids around. Like she nannied. So we had all my cousins at the house, and I was always the one that was helping her because I always loved, if I wasn't my dad's tail, I was my grandma's tail. And I always loved like going, and she would gather her bitter melon and her eggplant, and I always wanted to like harvest with her and then cook it and then see the process of that. So I always had that in my and always feeding people. That's always been my mentality since I was young. So when Kalia was living in California, Sis was living in California at the time, I was also living in California. But I was in San Diego and she was in LA. So from like Thursday to Sunday every week, I would drive up and hang out with her. And she lived with, they called it the dollhouse in Manhattan Beach. And it was her and her other friend, Bruna, and her boyfriend at the time, or her husband now, her boyfriend at the time, Dane. And it was his birthday party. And they all got super wasted. We all got pretty drunk. And the next morning, everyone was starving hungry. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go make beef stew. Because that's going to last forever. And that's the best thing you could eat besides a cheeseburger when you're hungover. So I made a big pot of beef stew. I made like them eggs and bacon and sausage. But for like, I was just like, and Dane was the one, all three of them came up and they're just like, oh, what does that smell? And I was like, oh, I'm making beef stew casually. Just like, they're like, what? Aren't you like, I was like, no, everybody's hungry. And we all had friends over that night too. So like, there was like 10 people staying at the house. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to make 12 eggs. I'm just going to make one big pot of something. And that's where it came out. He was just like, oh, you're such like you're not like a mom, but like, you're like an auntie who would like give us lickings for like going out and getting drunk. But then in the morning we get food. Like, you're such an auntie.
Yeah. You're the kind like, hey, you was out last night. You look hungover. Here, eat this beef stew. But don't come home.
Don't ever do that again, stupid. Like, yeah, that's exactly where it came from, was that. And that ever since then, it's stuck. And every time, even now to this day, when Dane and Bruna see me, they're like, auntie. And people are like, oh, isn't that like degrading for how old you are? I was like, no, like the sooner I was called auntie, the better. Like,
see, that's how I feel.
In
Uncle
Hawaii,
is like, oh yeah, sign of respect.
You respect me, right? Yeah. If someone's like, oh, auntie, can you help me with that? Like, sure, babe, come, let me help you. Or like, uncle, can you help me? Be like, yeah, come. But like, if say like, even like Kilis, Sophia, all those kids who are basically almost out of teenage years, like they're 19, 20 years old, they better still call me. You know what I mean? Like, I have everyone in every range. Like, Auntie Tammy will call me Auntie Megz. Uncle Tony will call me Auntie Megz. Like, people older than me will call me Auntie Megz, because it's just like, it's kind of like my identity now. Like, it's just the thing. You
are a professional auntie. You're the first professional auntie we've ever had on the podcast.
You see what I mean? Like, you're welcome. No, I'm kidding. But that's what I mean, is like, I just, yeah, it's always feeding. And then like, always, to me, being an auntie is making someone feel at home when they're not home, and to teach. Like, you can learn. It's funny, right? When you like learn from your parents, you kind of just goes over your head, right? If they tell you to clean the microwave, you look at your parents, you're like, oh, whatever. Like, they teach you how to like clean a microwave or cook something. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. It goes right over your head. The second your auntie or uncle taught you, your attention was so on it. Tell me not, right?
Wow, yeah.
Tell me not.
That's so true. Because it's like they're a step away from like that authority figure.
Yeah.
But they're still authority.
Yes. But so they're also your friend.
But then, yeah, exactly.
You know, they're also your friend. Like, oh man, okay. Like,
and you feel comfortable talking to them, like, about boys or girls or whatever it is.
Because then when they, at the time, like when you're talking to your parents, it's always, and not every parent is like this, but you have this like, because they are the authority figure, they have this like natural judgment that they're going to be like, oh, my kid is doing this, my kid is doing that. But when it's talking to an auntie or uncle, it's like you can release that.
Mm-hmm.
And even for me, when the kids are coming to me, like venting to me about something, I can completely take out. I'm not in their everyday life too. So I'm not going to judge you at all because I don't know exactly what you're doing. So yeah, I think being called auntie, being a professional auntie, being called auntie by everyone is like, to me, I'm like, bring it on.
That's awesome.
Some people are like, no, I don't. Oh, don't. She called me auntie. And I was like, yeah, she better call you auntie. She better call me auntie. If not, she can get lickings. And then she can call me auntie.
Yeah, the only time I see it being like that is just from girls who are like younger and they don't, you know, it's the age thing. They're
like an uncle thing. It's always the girls that are like, oh, I don't want to be aged. Be like, listen, I am an 80-year-old woman living in a 32-year-old's heart. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll give you food and also slap you. So you decide which one comes first.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm uncle, but I'm the peaceful uncle.
You're like, okay, everybody's just good. I'm the one that like the auntie that comes in and is like, okay, everybody eat, sit down. What are we doing? Like, and that I love that.
Yeah.
I'm always teaching a kid or whoever something, and that's what really gives me joy in life.
Yeah. I love that. I was the friend because I don't drink, so I was always the friend taking care of people. Yeah, and I would do like the McDonald's pocho platter, late night run, or Taco Bell, 20 tacos, whatever. Bring it to everybody. So yeah, but I don't think I have that like to me, I'm Uncle Kamaka. I take care of you, but I don't have like that. I feel like the Hama status, you know, like because I don't have
a voice thing. I think it's a voice thing.
I have a very like easygoing personality, and I'm not very stern. I'm not like I wouldn't slap anybody. So you have that like I'm kind of scared of her, so I respect her. So nobody's afraid of me. That's
it's like a tough love thing, you know? Like,
and I'm just a soft love.
Yeah, see, so that's the difference. You know what it was too? Was I grew up with being like the generation before me, like Khaleesi's mom, Malia, Jen Van Giesen, Jodie Clark, Malia Kalalapa'a, Haunani Kane, like all those girls, they're all older than me, and I was the youngest, so I couldn't drink. So I was naturally their DD to take them everywhere. And then growing up in my generation, or even the younger ones, like Kalia, her brothers, Micah, Isaiah, Seth, I was the oldest, so I had to take care of them too. So there was always this. It was in the middle that I was taking care of the older ones because I was the DD, and then I was taking care of the younger ones because I was the one who had the authority because I was the oldest.
Yeah.
So I was the youngest in one group and the oldest in the other. So I think that's what also really built that auntie thing.
Yeah. So you had to drive the drunk people at one point, and then you had to buy the kids.
Yes,
the alcohol because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
or they couldn't. Buy
you know what's funny is if you ask sis Kelia, she'll tell you, she's like, why like how did you guys become best friends? And she would always say in the summertime, oh, we used to get $5 for each of us, and then Megan used to get handed a $20 bill from her dad, so that's why I would stick with her because she would buy the best food. To this day, if you ask her, she will tell you that.
That's an easy way to become a best friend with somebody.
Oh yeah, they knew the $20. I was like, okay, we're all getting me barbecue down in Waikiki. Would get like 3 big plates of kalbi meat jun, and we would all sit on the lawn and just eat all that before we go surf.
Nice.
Yeah.